what's the one piece of career advice you wish someone had given you when you were starting out?
Yeah, look, I don't know, maybe this one's a bit of a personal one for me, but for me, I think the most important thing is to find something that you're interested in and that has a reasonable amount of depth. Like if you're going to spend the next 30 or 40 years working in that space, then finding something that you enjoy and you get some satisfaction out of, in my opinion, is actually more important than chasing the money. Because generally speaking, if you're doing something you enjoy and you continually learning on it over time, then the money will come in its own time anyway. I started off doing web development in the early days of the dot-com the dot-com era, right at the beginning of the web development, and was very much on the tools. And I kind of didn't have a clear vision for what I wanted to be and do, and I sort of drifted into leading projects in digital advertising. And I lost about 10 years there where I really did not enjoy my work and became very disillusioned with it.
Wow.
And then when we came back to Australia, I sort of pivoted back into, I joined REA and pivoted back into application development. It was fantastic. But if I had one regret, it was that 10 years. If I had kind of been a bit more focused about what I wanted to be and what I enjoyed, I think I think I would have had the opportunity to work with some really great people.
Awesome. So love what you're doing, and then everything else will come with it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't know. You don't have to love it. I think there's a lot of that stuff around sort of find your passion, and I think that can be really hard to hear, especially when you're young. But I think just something that kind of interests you, that you can see yourself, being able to, spend some of your free time finding out a bit more on. And I think the rest will come. But I think a lot of people choose work that they think it's easy to find a job in, or the money's good, and 20 years later they're in a job that they hate, working with people they don't like, and I think that's a real shame.
Can you share a pivotal moment in your career journey that made a significant impact?
Yeah, this was a really difficult one because there's been quite a few. I think there was definitely a real turning point in how I sort of looked at work, probably around about when I was working at ThoughtWorks. So before, I'd very much had this view on you could either be somewhere that was doing really great work and sort of doing work that you could really be proud of, or you could work somewhere where you were having a really good time and you were really enjoying yourself and it wasn't too stressful and they were surrounded by great people and there was good social life. And I think working at ThoughtWorks and REA to a degree as well, I think I saw that actually really great environments do great work. And so it doesn't have to be opposite sides of the same coin. And that very much kind of informed how I approached then building teams and capabilities within organizations. It wasn't about creating a controlled environment where everybody was there to focus and work. It was creating an environment where people came together and there was high degrees of trust and collaboration, and they knew what they were supposed to do and they enjoyed it, and that generally delivered a significantly better outcome in the long term anyway.
That I have is, how do you approach challenges and setbacks in your professional life, and what's your go-to strategy for overcoming them?
Yeah, look, I've had plenty. I've been fired more than once. I've been made redundant more than once. Usually those things came as a complete shock. And it can be really hard. I think the way having been through it a few times, and even quite recently when I was the head of engineering and then the acting CTO at Bright, there was a big sort of round of redundancies there. They lost sort of a third of the tech team in the end there, and that was nobody really saw that coming. And that's probably one of the best places I've ever worked. I really enjoyed working there. So personally, it was really hard to deal with. But I think the first thing is, like, don't take it personally. Like, generally speaking, it's not personal. Give it some time. Like, that initial shock of something going wrong, whether it be a project or losing a job or whatever, can be really devastating. But I always find it's amazing how quickly that passes. Within a couple of days, you've usually got a bit of perspective, and it's like, okay, well, these things happen. And then start to look ahead about what's next. And some of the best opportunities I've had in my professional development, and the best opportunities that have appeared sort of on my path, have been after something really quite unpleasant's happened. So there's usually two kinds of, like, really big challenge or setback. There's ones that come about because you don't quite have the skills or the capabilities, and you're a bit out of your depth. And so you fail because you didn't have the skills or experience. And those are probably the easier ones to deal with, because the learning is quite obvious. Okay, well, I need to learn more of this, or I need to develop my communication and leadership skills, or whatever. And the other ones are more on the people side. It's, was there a setback because this relationship with this person wasn't working well? And I think those are more difficult. But again, I think sometimes it's just, maybe it wasn't the right place for you, and I think it can be hard to overcome that initial shock. But if you give it some time, get some perspective, make sure you look after yourself, don't drink too much, get enough sleep, that kind of stuff, then you usually bounce back pretty quickly. I mean, we're lucky enough for the people that work in tech that there's usually plenty of new opportunities out there. Like, we, generally speaking, don't have to worry too much about being long-term unemployed or not being able to pay our bills or our mortgage. So, in many ways, we're very privileged to be able to potentially take more risks than other people are.